Since I published my top 10 horror documentaries video, I've had a lot of requests from viewers for even more horror documentaries. So here you go, 5 more great horror documentaries. Direct-to-Video is a 2020 documentary about the throwback video era of the 1990s, when horror films of all kinds filled the local video store shelves. This one is a little different than I expected based on the description. I thought they were going to talk about the rise of the video rental stores and the ability for people to use their own video equipment to make low-budget movies and get them in the video stores by way of the direct-to-video route. It's not that it's a bad documentary, it's just different. It's a series of interviews with people that were involved with the low-budget movies made by companies such as Full Moon Pictures. They discuss their memories and experiences making specific movies. It's interesting information, and I enjoyed watching it. I only have a few nitpicks. A few of the people, when discussing what they were working on, it got a little bit too technical, and I lost interest. Also, there were some people that started talking about a movie but didn't say what movie it is until about halfway through their discussion. It seems like this was just a compilation of various interviews filmed at different times and locations, because there's no overarching narrative tying them together, and the audio and video quality varies greatly. But, nitpicks aside, it's some good, interesting information about some lesser-known movies, so I gave it a rating of 3 out of 5. It's definitely worth a watch. Masters of Horror is a 2002 Sci-Fi Channel show that's hosted by Bruce Campbell of Evil Dead fame. It has quite a number of horror legends such as John Carpenter, Wes Craven, George Romero, and more. This is another one that wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. Being a Sci-Fi Channel show, I thought it was going to be pretty common knowledge and regurgitated interviews, but it really surprised me. It's not that at all. It's a lot more in-depth than I expected, and there's a lot more information I never heard of before. They get into conversations with writers and directors and ask them things like, what scares them? And where did they come up with their ideas? You get a lot of personal experiences and history from these horror legends. Being someone who's interested in special effects, there are a couple of segments that are deep dives into the special effects of an American werewolf in London and Videodrome. They had great conversations with Rick Baker, who of course is a special effect legend. I give the Masters of Horror a rating of 3.5 out of 5. It's definitely worth a watch, and I'll most likely watch it over and over. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Shocking Truth is a 2020 movie about the making of a classic. It's a documentary on the filming and release of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Most horror fans know some of the background of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this documentary really dives deep into the background, history, and the challenges of the movie production. We start out right from the beginning, with the changes to the opening of the movie. They thought they had the perfect opening, but they ended up having to change it. And while it works, it wasn't the original idea. Then we also get into casting changes. Some people were involved at the beginning, but ended up getting recast. They talk about the production challenges they had filming this groundbreaking movie in the sweltering Texas heat. Even the simplest things, like where did they get the bones to make the furniture? And the challenges of dealing with the heat, the multiple takes, the smell, and the rotting animals on the set. They even get into the paycheck controversy and what happened after the movie was released and people trying to get paid. After the success of the original movie, they talk about some of the sequels, such as Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. For fans of this franchise, this is a must-watch. There's so much good in-depth information, it's hard to pass it up. I give the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Shocking Truth, a rating of 4 out of 5. I can see watching it numerous times. The 50 Best Horror Movies You've Never Seen is a 2014 documentary about 50 lesser-known horror flicks, hailed as absolute must-sees, and they're given the spotlight with commentary from experts in the industry. This documentary is narrated by PJ Soles from Halloween and has a wide variety of people involved in the horror industry. Everyone from writers, directors, actors, magazines writers, and book authors. And they're here to give their opinions on some great lesser-known movies. If you're a hardcore horror fan, you may have seen many of these, but I'm sure you're still going to get plenty to add to your watch list. And if you're new to horror or a casual fan, well, there's going to be a lot of movies you can add to your watch list. I know the first time I watched it, I added a ton to my watch list. There are some really good movies in this countdown. I give the 50 best horror movies you've never seen a rating of 4 out of 5. It's a real blast to go back and revisit some of these movies and to see if there's something I missed. The 101 Scariest Horror Movie Moments of All Time is an outstanding 2022 Shudder original series. Master filmmakers and genre experts celebrate and dissect the most terrifying moments of the greatest horror films ever made. It's 8 episodes, 50 minutes each, for a total of almost 6.5 hours. This series covers all kinds of subgenres. Everything from the classics to modern horror. It's definitely the top 101 greatest moments from some of the greatest horror movies ever made. And you get discussions from many different actors, writers, directors, special effects artists, TV hosts, and more. People like Greg, Nicotero, Tom Holland, Mike Flanagan, and Joe Dante. They dive into each movie and really dissect what makes the scene so scary. What did the writer, director, and special effects artists do to really scare the heck out of the audience? They also talk about how some of these scenes just leave such a lasting impression on the viewers. I'm sure you'll find a lot of your favorite SEM on this countdown and discover a lot of new ones. This was definitely my favorite out of this list of 5 more great horror documentaries. There's just so much good, in-depth information and conversations. No doubt this one got a rating of 4 out of 5. I've watched it several times already. It's a must for any horror fan. For the complete list of the 50 best horror movies you've never seen and the 101 scariest horror movie moments of all time, check the description below. I also put links of where you can stream or buy these documentaries. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling me what you think of these documentaries. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, the best way to watch a horror movie is alone in the dark.